Hi, I'm TK Griffith, son-in-law of the late Phil Maynard.
I'm Dave Bedell.
I'm Gail Angeletti.
I'm Will Yoho.
I'm Linda Nuosci, and I'm being inducted into the Catholic Charities Summit County
Hall of Honor.
The Summit County Advisory Council drew my attention when my kids were in CYO because CYO helped to foster that attitude of camaraderie and teamwork and working together. So it just really resonated with me. And then as I got to know what Catholic Charities has to offer and all of the different programming that is available, it just does so many great things for the community and offers so many great services.
My wife and I were going to adopt a child, and I understood that the Catholic Service League, which was part of Catholic Charities, had an adoption program. And so we contacted them and we went through the adoption process and were chosen for an adoption in 1982. Several years after that, an adoptive parent who was on the board of the Catholic Service League contacted me because they had an opening on the board and asked if I'd be interested in joining their board. And I joined the board in 1984, and the rest is history.
In 1990, I started working with Catholic Service League. Over 26 years of my employment, it transitioned into different agencies and acquisitions until it became Catholic Charities. I worked there in many different positions. I was an admin assistant, director of finance, fundraising and development, and volunteer coordinator. I did all these things because I would see our clients walk through the door and they were hurting, and that bothered me a lot. That's why I stayed, because I could see the genuineness of the people helping them.
A good family friend, Les Rabwini, introduced me to Catholic Charities. He was one of the most generous people that I know, and he introduced me to them and invited me to be on the board. I got plugged in and just loved all of the different ministries that Catholic Charities did, and was happy to become a part of that.
Les Rabwini kind of got him involved with Catholic Charities in a number of different fashions. Relationships were very important to Phil, and when somebody called him for help, it was important that he was able to answer the call, whether it be at Children's Hospital in Bill Considine or whether it be with any of the leadership at Catholic Charities. So he really wanted to give back to society. Phil really enjoyed the Derby for Dollars event, and over the years, Amy and I would go with him a few times when we were able to. But that was one event that he got really excited about. If there was ever a time that he wasn't able to make it, which generally speaking he did go, he would make sure that he could still support it philanthropically, because it was a big deal to him.
I am on the advisory board, and I have also been on the finance committee along with Dave Bedell for the last several years. So I participate in that way, and have also participated as a co-chair of the annual Derby for Dollars. I've also participated in the We Give Catholic campaign and helped make phone calls and create awareness for that, as well as letter signing for Partners in Giving.
I initially joined the board of Catholic Service League. I was put on the finance committee and the land and building committee, personnel committee, served on various committees with them, and eventually became president in 1997. But when we merged with CYO of Akron, I was on the board there on the finance committee, and eventually became finance chairman.
I have been on the board for a little over 20 years, and I'm currently the chairman of the board. We meet quarterly, and we are an advisory body, and we also are very active in fundraising for Catholic Charities Summit County. With Catholic Charities, I've always had a real connection with Camp Christopher. I went on a young adult retreat there when I was 19 years old, the search program, and ended up meeting my wife there. And over the years, I'm currently the chaplain out there, And 3 of my 5 boys did their Eagle Boy Scout project out there at camp and have done men's retreats there at Camp Christopher as well.
I have since retired from Catholic Charities in 2019, and I took a break thanks to COVID. And I have now joined Catholic Charities Women's Board, and I also do hot meals at Blessed Trinity every Wednesday because that's where my heart is. My heart is still with helping people and those most vulnerable.
Currently, in addition to being on the advisory board for Catholic Charities, I am a board member for Northern Ohio Association for Financial Professionals, and I am also a board member at Cascade Capital Development Corporation. I have a full-time job. I'm a commercial relationship manager for First National Bank. Prior to that was with a different bank also in this area, and have done this for over 30 years.
I'm also a Catholic deacon at Immaculate Heart of Mary in Cuyahoga Falls. I'm also on the board at the Peter Morin Center and volunteer at the Gennesaret Food Pantry and Soup Kitchen. I'm also on the First Friday Club of Akron board.
I volunteer at the Tudor House in my spare time also, and I am on the board of the Faber Foundation. The Faber Foundation has generously donated money to our emergency assistance program for Catholic Charities every year. And I have my husband that we hang out together, and 4 children, daughters. We do a Sunday dinner to get them to come over to the house and be together. I come from a large family. There are 8 of us, married, children. So just immediate family, there's a total of 68, which includes nieces, nephews, and great nieces, nephews. And every year we throw a 4th of July party for the 68. So that's a lot of hot dogs, a lot of hamburgers, and a lot of Italian sausage.
Jim Trussell, who just retired from Youngstown State and who was actually a pretty good friend of Phil's, he said a quote that he got so involved in his work that work was more fun than fun. And I feel like that was the same for Phil, because to be honest with you, work was his fun. He did get into, though, to go beyond that, he loved race car driving and NHRA. For a while, he even had a dragster that somebody else drove for him. So for about a year or 2, he was a drag car guy. I don't know what they're called, dragsters. And his last probably 10 or 15 years, he got into golf. And he really enjoyed some of the relationships that he built with people like Mark Crone, Bob Cooper, Joe Falanga, so many others. So he did get into golf, and he became a pretty decent golfer too, which was kind of interesting. And then of course seeing his grandkids and going to their games would be how he would have some fun on the weekends.
I am very blessed to have 3 amazing children. My oldest just got married last year, so now I have a wonderful daughter-in-law. I have also got a 4-year-old granddaughter, and we all love to spend time together. I enjoy boating at Portage Lakes, hiking and trail running in the Cuyahoga Valley National Park, gardening, reading. I have a great circle of friends that I enjoy spending time with. I love sports.
My activities include a lot of reading. We subscribe to 3 newspapers. Don't get my news off the internet, but through newspapers and magazines. So I do quite a bit of that. For recreation, I bike. And I usually put about 3,000 miles a summer on my bike. And we live near the Cuyahoga Valley, so most of that's done in the valley, biking up and down the hills. And my wife is involved with the Cleveland Hiking Club, and she leads hikes in the Cuyahoga Valley. And we do a lot of hiking down there too.
I enjoy gardening, plants, hunting and fishing, and spending time with my family and my wife. My wife and I travel quite a bit. We've got 7 kids, and a couple of them live out away from here, out of state. And we like visiting them on a regular basis. Oh, and we also like, my wife and I camp quite a bit.
I'm very grateful and humbled to be receiving this award. Catholic Charities has so many great programs and services that it offers the community. I'm certainly very grateful to the folks at Catholic Charities for this honor.
I know that receiving this award for Phil would be extremely important because of how important his Catholic faith was to him. I think he really embodied the meaning, the symbolic meaning of church in the way that he engendered followers and followed others that led him to good places. Going to Mass at St. Vincent Parish in the mornings, being part of the Catholic Church was so important to Phil. He was going to be a priest as a youngster and had decided to come back to Hoban, but I've always felt like he's embodied the priestly spirit in his life, and that's why this would be so important to him.
I am very appreciative of the recognition that I'm receiving, but I think the true honor belongs to the people that actually deliver the service. And I am pleased to be able to support those people, and I think that is truly what the honor is to those people that deliver the services of adult daycare, emergency service, counseling, recovery program, and all the camps.
This Hall of Honor award means a tremendous amount to me. As I walk down the hallway and look at the different people that have been inducted and think of the huge contributions that they have made over the years, it truly is very humbling, and it's a tremendous honor to be invited to be a part of that.
I never expected it. So I have to bite my cheek so I don't cry. I'd like to dedicate this award to my mom. She passed last July, and she taught me spirituality. She taught me what it was like to go to church. She prayed the rosary every day. She was non-judgmental and very giving of herself, raising 8 kids. It was her inspiration that inspired me to care for those that were less fortunate and to give of yourself.